Hey everyone, welcome back. Germ here, Freedom Malts. And it's been a minute since I put up a video. I've had a whirlwind of the last couple of weeks. I know at the end of my 30 Days of Bourbon videos, we were at La Crosse. 2 days after I got back from La Crosse, I trucked my happy ass from northern Wisconsin down to central Texas and did the Bastards Ball. And yes, I did literally truck. I drove all the way down there, 23 and a half hours of driving one way, and drove all the way back. When we got back, it was my birthday weekend. So it has just been kind of a whirlwind busy time. But I did want to do a little recap or finalization, if you will, of my 30 Days of Bourbon. For me, this 30 Days of Bourbon challenge was to try a new to me bourbon every day of the month of September. And I did succeed. It was an eye opening experience, so to speak. Um, I've kind of been guilty of bourbon is boring, bourbon is all the same, one bourbon is the same as the other bourbon, blah, blah, blah. And I did definitely find out that they are not all the same, and a good amount of them are definitely not boring. Some of the highlights of the 30 Days of Bourbon, as far as bottles go: Tom's Foolery, probably my favorite one that I had out of there. This one bottled by Lost Lantern. It's a smaller distillery out of the northeastern reaches of Ohio. If I remember correctly, and what was reading correctly, what I saw, they don't have a lot of distribution, if any. So for Lost Lantern to bottle this and it spread it out over the country like they did was very fantastic. Really brought a lot of attention to that distillery, and it is well deserved. This bourbon is something that you can totally sit with for an hour, hour and a half plus, and just pick it apart. I mean, there is so many flavors and nuanced flavors, and it's just wonderful. Mouthfeel on it is fantastic. I mean, if this is what these guys are putting out for bourbon, I would definitely love to see what else they're doing for other spirits, because I can assure you that it is probably going to be top notch as well. Some of the other ones that were really, really good on this list: the 1971 Ezra Brooks 12 year from day two. Geez, that thing, I wish they were still making spirit like that. That sucker was so good. All the classic bourbon notes, but executed 100% perfectly. And it had this like cranberry orange potpourri, like that old style potpourri cooker with the candle underneath it. And you put stuff in the pot with the water, and it boils all day and just makes your house smell. Uh, it was outrageous how good it was. A couple of the other ones, wow, I can't talk. Horse Soldier. That was actually a very surprising one, fairly inexpensive, and really a solid bourbon. Very good classic bourbon notes, right, kind of down the middle, but executed very well. It was a very tasty, tasty bourbon. Some of the other ones, what do we got here? The Tattersall, weeded, bottled in bond. That thing was really good. In fact, that thing was so good, I opened that, had the drink, went back to the store the next day, bought another bottle. So I now have a backup of that, and there is still some sitting on the shelf in the store. So if you're seeing that on the shelf anywhere, Tattersall, actually just about anything from Tattersall is worth the pickup. Couple of the other ones, let's see here. I've got a cheat sheet of my 30 Days of Bourbon calendar that I wrote down every day what I had on there. Let's talk about ones that didn't impress me. The worst one of the bunch for me was that Dickel 8 year. I had a hard time finishing that glass. Not knocking it if you like it. Everybody's palate is different. But for me, it was not in my wheelhouse. It was not one that I was enjoying at all. The 2XO, I thought the 2XO was very good. I thought perhaps, I do know the price point on that. I thought perhaps that it was maybe priced about $20, $25 too high. And that actually, from talking to a couple other people, that seems to be a pretty general consensus of it. Very good bourbon. I just think that they marketed it and priced it a little higher than it should be, but that's kind of the way the bourbon market has gone, isn't it? So, what else do we got on here? The Kentucky Owl. The Kentucky Owl, for what the prices of those generally are, I was not impressed with that. I thought that fell rather flat. Didn't have a lot of flavors, and the flavors that were there were slightly muted, and it was just kind of boring. So that's, unfortunately, you run into that. And again, I'm not knocking it. If you love that stuff, great. I'm glad you do. It's just not for me. Wasn't my palate. The Calumet 16 year. This is pretty divisive, I think. I personally have never had a bourbon that old or older than that. And I know, a lot of people try to compare that to Pappy 15 year, which I haven't had personally either. But I will say this, the price that I see those at now is roughly around that $10 a year mark. I actually think that was a very good bourbon. I could see myself buying one of those. Definitely a solid bourbon. Not one that you're going to drink every day. Definitely one that you're going to break out for maybe special company or good friends, or just having a celebration pour one night. That's, just something simple. I didn't hit 100 subs on the channel. I did, however, donate the extra $100. So we did hit 250 to the Boys and Girls Club. We did pick up 25 subs to the channel. So really, guys, I appreciate that immensely. Thank you so much. And I did get a lot of good feedback about the whole 30 Days of Bourbon series. So really, I appreciate that too. That helps out a lot to hear that feedback, whether it be positive or negative. Lets me know if I'm doing something wrong. I got to figure out how to correct it. And also lets me know if I'm doing something right and you guys are liking it. So let me know down below in the comments if you like that series, if you watch the whole thing, any of that. I'm not going to do anything special for October, but it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, thus the pink shirt. And it is an important thing. Make sure that you keep that in the back of your mind, that it's something that is definitely something you should be checking out if you have the required equipment. So that being said, I just wanted to do a quick recap of the 30 Days of Bourbon Challenge. Save the tatas and cheers to this American spirit.